Hello and welcome to our ArtStacks Essentials video on how to use tissue paper at home. The first question really is, why do we want to use tissue paper? The idea is that the background around the image, if you put it on your page right or on your project right, it'll actually nearly disappear, and it gives a really cool effect that you've either drawn the image onto the page or you've layered it on, and it really is a special effect. You want your tissue paper to blend into the background as much as possible. So one of the best ways to do this is to actually tear the image out. So simply, just a simple matter of tearing it out. Be careful you don't tear the image next to it. We've allowed a bit of space for you to do this, but it still doesn't mean that it's not impossible to tear into the next one. So just tear it out. There's no special way of doing it. Then make sure you can, even if you've already got an edge there, tear that out. And stay relatively close to the edge of the image. Next method is to use a cotton bud, or I think the Americans call them Q-tips. Simply get yourself your little cotton bud, dip it in some water and run it around the edge of an image. Now this will wet the fibres of the tissue paper and make them separate easy. It's quite a quick and easy method, and it's also more accurate than tearing because you can actually direct the water wherever you want it to go, like that. And then once it's wet, it just tears along that line very easily. And this is probably, I think, the best way because it gives you the much blurrier edge and helps your image blend in with your project background better. And just do that bottom edge as well so you don't have a straight line. There you go, quick and easy. You didn't have to cut into all the fingers, all the shapes, very easy. And the third method is to actually cut it. Now a lot of people say never cut tissue paper, but you can. There are certain circumstances where you might prefer to cut it. So it could be that you've got a background where you're particularly concerned about the edge of the tissue paper showing. Now, our images are often designed to be cut out easily. Tissue paper ones not so much because they can be torn out, but you can also choose to cut them out if you like. Very easy, you don't have to be exact. When it comes to gluing your tissue paper to your project, the most important thing to remember is what you use to glue it with. Any sort of gel medium will do. It could be matte medium or collage medium, so long as it's a lightweight one. This will give you the best results. So simply have your project here, and I'm going to adhere this image. Simply put the gel medium on. Doesn't just be rough with it, you don't have to be exact. Just make sure you go everywhere where your image is going to go. Put your image on. Now you'll see it's already almost disappeared. Now see how those torn edges have faded into the background. That's what you want. Then just to make doubly sure, you can go over the top of it with another layer of gel medium, and that completely soaks the tissue paper and makes it as transparent as possible. I used a brush to put that gel medium on, but you can actually use anything you like. Rubber spatulas are actually really good. This one's a bit stiff, but as the softer ones are actually quite good at it. They're better at spreading out the gel. I'll show you what I mean. Because quite often tissue paper is notorious for wrinkling because it's a very thin paper that gets wet. It's going to wrinkle. You have to just accept that there will be some wrinkling. So, but now for a bigger image where you're going to see the wrinkling more, I'm going to use the rubber spatula. Put the gel medium on. Put this down, but this time I'm going to use the spatula to help smooth the tissue out as I go. Now yes, there are still some wrinkles, but it's not much, and that's part and parcel of it. You're always going to get some. And it's very quick and easy, just allow that to dry, and it looks awesome. Okay, now you might think that's all very well on a white background, but what about a coloured background? We're often putting our tissue papers onto mixed media backgrounds of some sort. I've added some stamping to my page, and now I'm going to work out where I want to put my girl that I cut out earlier. I think I'm going to put her about here, but if I put her down, you can see everything through her the transparent tissue, and it kind of makes her not stand out so much. Sometimes seeing things through the tissue can be really cool, but in this instance I want her to stand out. So I've got myself some white paint. I'm actually nearly out of the gesso, so I'm just going for the white paint. I love using the fingers for this and trying to work out exactly where she's going to sit. Something like that. Then leave that to dry. I've decided I'm also going to add some words to this one, so I'm going to put some more white paint behind that. I think it'll go roughly over here. You can also put, if you want to, just a few bits of other white paint around the place. Just blend it in a bit. Once it's dry, just get your gel medium out again. Do the same thing I showed you before. Generous layer. Make sure your tissue paper is quite wet. Then put her down where you've put your white and go over the top. And now you can see that she's standing out from the background a lot more than she did before I put the white behind her. Now what we can do over here, I'm going to use this title on my page. Let's grab our gel medium, put that across there. And now we wait for that to dry. You can use a heat gun if you like to speed that up. Now that that's dry, let's add some colour to it. I love using watercolour. I think these work particularly well on tissue paper. You can use any sort of colour, watercolour you like, and just simply brush it on. The tissue paper won't tear because you've already added your gel medium over the top, and that kind of protects it as you go. So your watercolour is actually sitting on top of the gel medium. So what it does, watercolour is particularly good because it lets all the lines still show through of the image. So you can see I'm going over the top of the lines of her hair, but they still show through underneath. Sometimes the gel medium does repel the colour a little bit, but that's okay. You just keep working on it, it'll come. There's our very cool pink-haired girl. Putting white paint behind a tissue paper image is a very effective way of making the image stand out. You can use it on all sorts of things. On this one, I just simply highlighted the lips, didn't colour the hair, kept it as a monochrome piece, and I think it works really well. Good luck with your tissue paper work, and thanks for joining us at ArtStacks.